Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of PLA with myself, Nick, and Bruno. We've got 3 questions today, and the gentlemen will be answering one each and then maybe tackling the third one together. The first question says, and this one is over to you, Nick. A tenant was evicted successfully from a property. She left a vehicle behind. The vehicle is not registered to her, so it's not registered to the tenant, and she, the tenant, claims not to have contact with the registered owner. And the question is, can the landlord have the vehicle towed to a scrapyard or impounded or something? Nick?
Okay, so the telling part of this particular question is in the first line. So what the writer tells us in the first line is that a tenant was evicted successfully from a property. Okay, now there are a lot of instances where landlords or attorneys have to deal with leftover assets on a particular premises, and these assets have to be dealt with really carefully and on a case-by-case basis. Okay, remember, you don't want to take the law into your own hands. You don't want to incur damages by people, taking the law into their own hands or doing things with people's assets, especially when they have something that may be of value, for instance, a vehicle, and especially where it may belong to a third party. Okay, but what is telling about this particular question is that it's indicated in the first line that there was a successful eviction in the circumstances, i.e., if there was a court order authorizing the ejectment of the tenant from the premises. Okay, and this vehicle was on the premises at the instance of the tenant in the circumstances. So that stands to reason that there is still the ability for the landlord to instruct the sheriff to attend to removal of the vehicle. Okay, it forms part of the eviction order. The tenant and all of their effects must be taken off the premises. So in this particular circumstances, and I'm afraid I'm going to constrain myself to these particular circumstances because these questions are very subjective, depending on what's left and how. It seems to me that the best course of action would be to go back to the sheriff. I don't know whether the sheriff actually has already gone out in the circumstances, but either it's a case of the sheriff has gone out and they forgot an asset, in which case you're telling the sheriff, listen, you need to go and remove this one last asset that has remained on the premises. Or alternatively, they may have got lucky and the tenants basically evicted themselves in the circumstances, but I'm hoping there's still an order because they say there's a successful eviction, in which case you would simply say to the sheriff, look, I need you to go out. I just need you to get this one vehicle off. There's nothing else on the premises that you need to concern yourself with. And then the sheriff will do that. They may even employ the services of a tow truck or something like that to help them actually get that vehicle off the premises. And in that way, it will get rid of the vehicle, and ultimately you've also done it in a legal way, so there's no repercussions for the landlord in the circumstances. That's my view on the best way in this particular issue.
Agreed. Cool. Right. So